Welcome back to video 2 of my June Happiness Abounds or Hues of Happiness product class. We've already done the pillar card, which I hope you enjoyed doing. And now we're going to do this cute little number here with some beautiful sort of orange, peach sort of coloured flowers as well. Now, as mentioned in the previous video, you can make all these cards with either stamped and coloured and die cut images from the stamp set, or you can use images from the designer series paper that you can either fussy cut or die cut, because the dies from the die set do fit the designer series paper as well. I know that a lot of you have bought the paper with the intention of using the paper instead of the hand coloured images. So I thought when I'm making my videos, I'll show you how to do both. So I've got everybody covered as well. Okay, so let's get started. This one is a really nice card for just this one's a birthday here, but it's just a lovely bright colour. You could use any pinks or oranges in this card, because really all I have dictated is the backing colour is a pear pizzazz backing sheet there. That probably dictates the colour of the leaves, but the flowers themselves could be pink or orange like they are here, or any colour that you like for the particular blooms won't look out of place with the pear pizzazz. So this is what your kit will look like. Again, I've given myself an envelope, which I won't need because I forgive the crash, randomly choose my kits. Leave the image, those in there, because they'll come in later. So you've got a card base, which is a basic white thick card base. And it's going to be a landscape card, so we'll keep it with the score at the top. You've then got a panel of, as I mentioned, pear pizzazz, and then another rectangle of our basic white as well. So that's the three layers of this card. You then have just a spare piece of basic white, and that's what we're going to be stamping and die cutting out of. So I can pop the rest of that away for the moment, and we can do our stamping here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what to stamp and how to colour, or how I've coloured it. And then what we'll do is we'll actually assemble the card with the flowers from the designer series paper. So as I say, I've got everyone covered regardless of how they want to approach their cards for this class. Okay, so I'm going to do from the stamp set, I've got one of the large flowers. I'm going to do one of this little pretty sort of flower with a stem that sort of seems quite opened up. I think I'm only using one of those. Then I'm going to make this one sort of looks like a rosebud. So I'm going to do, I'm going to do one of those. I'm actually going to do two of this little one with the stem. It doesn't matter too much. I actually just need 5 flowers. So if you're cutting it from the designer series paper or stamping and colouring, we need 5. And I'm just going to use the various different ones from the set. So you need at least one of the big flower and a combination of the smaller flowers, so that the total is 5. How's that? That sounds better. So there we are. So I've got one of the big flowers, 2 of that little one with the stem, and 1 of each of the little rosebud ones. So that's what you're going to roughly need, as I say, whatever combination of those you want. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the colour combination from my original card. And to do that, I've got all my beautiful oranges. I've got the dark pumpkin pie, light pumpkin pie, dark pale papaya, which actually when you pop it next to the dark pumpkin pie doesn't look too different, and my light pale papaya as well. So they're the sort of grades of orange that we're going to use. So as usual, I'm going to start with the dark pumpkin pie. And I'll just do the big bloom, and then it's the same sort of technique for the others as well. Okay, so I'm going to, as always, with my darkest colour, I'm going to imagine where the shadows would fall if this was a real flower, and stick the darker colours in there. So it looks a bit strange when it's just the dark ones in there. Just where you can imagine there would be a shadow. So that's what I've done first of all. I'll just bring that up so you can see just in the centre there, and then where each of those petals sort of comes out from behind the other one, the next one. I'm going to just stick to my pumpkin pie. As I say, there's very little discernible difference between light pumpkin pie and dark pale papaya. So I'll just grade that up, just blending with circular motion so that the two colours sort of blend into each other, obviously. That's why it's called a blend. Just bringing that next shade up. Okay, just nearly there. Next one. Okay, so we're just blending that dark pumpkin pie into the light. Then I'm going to skip right through to light pale papaya, and I'm just going to finish each of those off just with a very light end. And again, we're just blending that in to the previous colour. Okay, so that's that one coloured. I'll bring that a little bit closer so you can see. Had a bit of trouble with focusing during the week, so my son helped me. The trouble is that he's put the camera so far away that it's a bit hard for you guys to see what I'm doing, so I have to remember to bring it close so you can see. Well, there you can see though, we've got the dark colours in the shadows, then it comes through to graduating through to the light colour on the tips. That's the sort of look you're going for. I'm just going to take a little bit of the starkness out of that little central piece, a little central sort of would be the stamen or whatever the centre of the flower is called, and I'm just bringing in my black marker to sort of blacken that out a bit. I haven't coloured it completely. I've left tiny little bits of white there, and I don't know if the camera's going to, yeah, I've left tiny little bit of white there because I didn't want it to be too matte black, but I didn't want it to also be white as it was before. Okay, so that is the colouring technique. Just go on now and colour. You'd colour each of those with the shadows and the light, whatever colour you've chosen to do. As I say, pink or oranges, they'd be just as good. And then we do need some leaves. You'll probably need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves in total if you're following my template. So I'm going to do, oh, careful there, I've got ink on my finger, 3 of this double leaf. There we are. And 2 of the little composite leaf from the set as well. And if you're actually cutting out or fussy cutting the designer series paper, that's what you need to find in the designer series paper as well. So 5 sort of flowers and 5 leaves. And again, I'm just going to use my blends to colour in my flowers. As I said, as I mentioned, the backing is, what did I say it was? Julianne, if you can't remember, I was a pear pizzazz, and the closest thing to pear pizzazz in my blends anyway is light old olive. So I'm just going to colour the leaves in light old olive. Yeah, nice and easy. And I don't think I'm going to blend. I haven't blended these. I've just kept it to the light colour. There we are. So as again, 5 leaves as well. Okay, so colour all those. If you're using the stamp set and the dies, colour all those, die cut them out, and then we can pop them onto the card front. Okay, so I'll pop those aside. Now, for the rest of it, I'm actually just going to use, excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today. Too much talking during the week. I'm going to use the shapes the images that I've die cut from the designer series paper, and hopefully I've done exactly what I've told you to do. Pop my little bling back in there so it doesn't get lost. I've got one big one. Actually, I've got 2 big ones. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 little ones. So obviously, I think this time I've decided to go with 2 big ones. Okay, changed my design mid video. We always know that ends in disaster, don't we? So anyway, I can do this. So we've got 2 big. I'll bring in. So this piece of design, this piece of white, smaller piece of white, basic white, is where we're going to pop all our flowers. And just checking, I've just glued them all. So just you can glue them all, and then we will put dimensions on our sentiment. So you basically want the flowers to sort of go along the centre from left to right on this card. So I'm going to pop my 2 big ones there in the middle, and then I'll bring the others in and around. So as I say, we really want them to run in sort of a straight line from left to right. So I'll go for something a little bit like that. She says, moving it again there, and we'll pop that one there. Just sort of move them around till you're happy with them. But I'll go something like that. I won't pick it up until they're all glued down, otherwise we're going to have a disaster. Okay, so we'll go for something like that. Okay, so some glue. Okay. And one here. Here we are. So I've got those running from left to right across the page there, across the sheet. A bit of glue. And we'll fill in any gaps that we don't like with some leaves. So I can tell straight away I want a leaf in there. And then one up here. And then another one down here. And actually that one is out too far. Do I still get it out? I think I can. Yeah. I'm going to trim this one off so it tucks in a little bit further in. There we are. There we are. So we've added our leaves. They always lift a design, I think. They just make it so pretty when the leaves go in. There we are. Okay, so we can layer the rest of this card up now. So I'm actually going to glue the decorated white panel onto the pear pizzazz, and then I'm going to pop some dimensionals on the back of that and set it up on our card a wee bit. Yeah, so just in the centre, straight as you can. Here we are. Okay, I shall show you the one if you have decided to to colour and cut all your flowers. You can see we've done exactly the same thing. We've got our large image, our large flower in the centre. We've tucked the others in and around so they go from left to right, and then we've popped some leaves in around as well. So exactly the same concept as we have with the paper that we've the images that we've fussy cut. Okay, so sentiment is the second last thing to do with this. You've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and you'll notice that I've run it through the dies so that you've got that cute serrated sort of Spyrex notebook look at the end there. We're going to pop our sentiment on, and I've left it quite large, so you can use whatever sentiment you might like. You might want to use it from the set. You might want to use a different sentiment. But I'm going to use the happy birthday the same as I have with the original card. Pop that in black. So as close to the sort of Spyrex notebook end as you can, and sort of estimate how big you actually want it, if you want to trim it down a bit. So I've got that there, which seems a funny spot to put it, but you'll see I'm going to trim that down. So basically want to have as minimal amount of sentiment box as I can. So I'm going to trim it along the top and then trim it off the edge as well. I'll just bring in my little guillotine. So I'm going to trim some off the end because I only want the minimum. And some off the top as well. There we are. So we've taken that down to the bare minimum that we want, keeping our little bit of Spirex notebook at the end there. Okay. Ooh. Right, again, I'm going to grab some dimensionals. We can take them all the way along this time. Choose our spot and pop that in. There we are. Isn't that cute? I love that. Okay, very last thing, we're going to grab our bling, which I was very careful not to make sure it didn't fall out of the bag. They should have 3. Again, we've gone the iridescent, or I've gone the iridescent gems, which are my favourite. And grab my take my pick tool. Is that what I'm using? Yep. And we can pop the bling around. Oh, where'd you go? That was all right. He fell onto my computer screen. And then here. And the last one. There we are. And that one is done. So that's card number 2. Hopefully you like that one. So this is the one where I have fussy cut the images, and this is the one where you can stamp and colour. Okay, so hopefully you like those, and yeah, you give them a go. Actually, I don't know. I think actually I prefer the die cut one in this case. It just seems to be more defined. Anyway, all good. Lovely. So that's card number 2. I'll just have a bit of a clean up and be back with card number 3 fairly shortly.